But get into the review here. So we are trying to compare and contrast 5 players when we talk about gigantic business loans, poor or fair FICO, low doc, fast approval. I want to start with Fora. So basically we're going to compare and contrast Bluevine, On Deck, Fundbox, Fora Financial, and Triton Capital. I want to start with Fora Financial, and Fora Financial is a pretty interesting lender. Why? Because not only they actually gave you a low doc business loans, they are really fast when it comes to approval. We have had business clients who actually got approved for a Fora Financial loan within 12 hours. So they're really, really good. So if you are looking for, let's say, a working capital loan for bad credit, you want to go with Fora. They're really fast. They gave you online term loan. If you have a credit score of, let's say, 550 or higher, you may be able to qualify for a working capital loan. And the maximum with Fora Financial, $750,000. So you're talking about a lender who is very generous with bad credit borrowers. If you have a fair credit, you could still actually qualify. So the 550 is the threshold. And what we love about the Fora also is that they have a customer service. They have loan reps that will work with you. Okay, very important. And they actually don't place restrictions on the use of loan proceeds. Sometimes like some lenders, they're trying to play games with you, like they approve you, but then they tell you, hey, listen, you can't use the cash for this, you can't use the cash for that, and you're just like, why did you give me the cash in the first place? Fora Financial doesn't do that. So basically, they'll give you the loan. They'll actually, as long as you give them a legitimate use of the loan proceeds, they're fine with that. Okay, so let's just quickly go through the pros and cons. The pros: cash can be available quickly. You get a discount for prepaying and no collateral required. The cons: they charge a factor rate, which actually makes it very complicated to compare costs to other lenders. And the minimum business age and revenue requirement actually are pretty stringent for some loans, depending on the geography. And the longest loan term is 15 months. So they're not really working with you over 5 years or 3 years. No, a year and a half, 2 years maximum. Okay, so they want you to be in business for at least 6 months, at least $12,000 in gross sales per month, and no open bankruptcies or dismissed bankruptcies within the last 12 months. Very important. So overall, Fora Financial, their term loan is pretty good. I mean, they are, and the good thing is they're a good fit for borrowers who actually may fall short of qualifying for traditional bank financing. The only thing is just remember, their APR is kind of high. But overall, they're fast, they're generous, and they're good. I want to talk to you now about On Deck. By the way, welcome back to the show. Really appreciate having you here. I'm just doing a quick compare and contrast with 5 players into this conversation. We are comparing Fora Financial, On Deck, Fundbox, Bluevine, and Triton Capital. And we're speaking about business loans, poor or fair FICO, low doc, fast approval. And On Deck is another interesting lender. And they actually do a short-term business loans for bad credit. They also do, in some cases, business line of credit. So business loan and business line of credit. So if your FICO score is around 575 to 625, within that range, you may be able to qualify for an On Deck loan. And the maximum you can get from On Deck is $250,000. You can see the contrast here, right? So Fora is giving you a $750,000 maximum. On Deck is more conservative. They're giving you $250,000, $250,000. So 1/3 of that. But again, On Deck gives you a great loans here, okay? And their APR goes from 30% all the way to 60 or sometimes 65%. So not really interesting, but hey, it is what it is. So On Deck offers a fast term loan for small business owners with less than stellar credit who want to expand. So you have a conundrum, right? Your FICO score is low, but you see business opportunities. You know that you want to grow. You need cash to grow. So for On Deck will actually provide that cash. Let's talk about the pros and cons here. Pros: cash can be available within the same business day. That's pretty good. They accept borrowers with a minimum credit score of 575 to 625, and they have a streamlined application process with minimal documentation required. And you can use On Deck to build business credit. This is really wonderful. We love that. What about the cons? Now, On Deck is not available in Nevada, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So those 3 states, they're still working to actually get their banking license, their lender license there. Right now, they don't have it. And on deck requires frequent, in other words, daily or weekly repayments. This could be a little disruptive to your cash flows, but it is what it is. Interest rates can be high compared to traditional lenders, and they do require business lien and personal guarantee in some cases, okay, depending on your geography, okay. In terms of qualifications here, minimum credit score 575 to 625, minimum time in business 1 year, minimum annual revenue $100,000, and no bankruptcies in the last 2 years. Let me quickly acquaint you with another player here. We have Fundbox. By the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. I'm actually doing a compare and contrast about 5 players when it comes to business loans: poor FICO, low doc, fair FICO, fast approval. So we are comparing and contrasting Fora, OnDeck, Fundbox, Bluevine, and Triton Capital. So Fundbox is really interesting too. Now Fundbox actually they provide lines of credit for bad credit. Okay. Now you can convert this line of credit into a business loan if you talk to them. You have to have a conversation with them, and they'll actually structure the deal for you in such a way that you get a loan, not a business line of credit. And by your FICO score, minimum 550 to 600. Okay. And the maximum loan amount here, $150,000. And the APR goes from 10% to all the way to 80%. So Fundbox is another player that will give you the cash real fast. If you have bad credit, not a problem. If you have fair credit, not a problem. They'll accept you. But the APR is a little high. So as long as you're comfortable with that, cost of money, it is what it is. Okay. And let's talk about the pros and cons here. So the pros: financing is available within 1 business day after approval. They have a simple application with minimal documentation required. And they are really friendly to startups. Okay. They accept borrowers with a minimum of 6 months in business, sometimes 3 months. Low minimum credit score requirement, no prepayment penalties. Okay. You have no account maintenance fees, and no inactivity fees. So you have a great lender here. What about the cons? Now, rates are high compared to traditional banks. They may require personal guarantee in some cases, and they can be used to build business credit in some cases again. And they accept, they direct you to have weekly repayment over a short term. So you have maximum 24 weeks. Okay, but it is what it is. So Fundbox is best for borrowers who need cash real fast, can afford the weekly repayments over a short term, don't have perfect personal credit, and borrowers who have startup businesses. Okay, but overall, yeah, it is a great tool. We love them. We believe that they really stand out when it comes to fast access to cash. They are easy to qualify for. Okay, they have an early repayment flexibility. So even though they're expensive, well, overall, they're great. They're a great option. I want to talk to you now about Bluevine, one of our favorite lenders on this show. And so Bluevine is kind of cool also for line of credit. And now you can convert this line of credit into a business loan. Okay. And what I want to say here is that they actually provide a really fast business loan for bad credit. And the maximum amount you can get from Bluevine is $250,000. And they want a minimum credit score for that's 575 to 625. The APR goes from 20 to 50%. Okay. So when you think about Bluevine, I want you to think about a lender for a line of credit that you can convert into a loan, a business loan, and they do provide fast working capital for short-term borrowing needs. Okay. What about the pros and cons? Let's just quickly visit the whole thing here. Pros: cash can be available within 12 to 24 hours. They have multiple term lengths for different financing needs. Okay. And they have a low minimum credit score requirement. We love that. And they are also friendly to startups. We love that as well. What about the cons? They may require weekly repayments. They require personal guarantee in some cases. Okay. And they're not available in the Dakotas and Nevada, so South and North, and Nevada also. And rates can be high compared to traditional lenders. So overall, Bluevine wants you to have minimal annual revenue of $120,000. That's about 10 grand a month, and you got to be in business for 6 months minimum. Okay, so Bluevine, when you really think about it, when we analyze it, in our view, it's great for borrowers who need cash fast, don't meet eligibility requirements for with other lenders, borrowers who actually prefer a short rate payment period, and so they're really good. They're really good for fast funding, flexible eligibility requirements, and large credit lines that can be converted into loans. The only thing is that when you go with Bluevine, be sure that you actually have complete control over your liquidity. Why? Because they can be really expensive. Like they can have rate that shoot up all the way to like 80%, some cases 75%. Okay, and they want you to have more frequent repayments. So the whole thing is, can you afford? Can your budget? Can your cash flow statement actually absorb this sort of frequency here? Okay, it's just a matter of you trying to really fit that really accelerated repayment strategy into your budget. If you can do that, you are good to go, but you have to do it. Let me actually review the last player in today's conversation. We want to talk about Triton Capital. So when you think about Triton Capital, it's a pretty interesting lender also, and they actually focus a lot on equipment financing. If you're looking for equipment financing, by the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about 5 players that actually can give you business loans for poor FICO, poor or fair FICO, low doc, fast approval. So we're comparing and contrasting Foreign Financial, On Deck, Fundbox, Bluevine, and Triton Capital. And Triton is the fifth player into this conversation. So they do a lot of equipment loans for bad credit. Okay, so the maximum loan they can grant you $250,000, and minimum credit score 550 to 600. With Triton, things are a lot easier. They can actually go all the way to 400 or even 350 when it comes to FICO. You know why? Because their loans are collateralized, because they provide equipment financing. If you want to finance your machinery, you want to finance your office furniture, you want to finance any long-term assets, Triton Capital is a great player to consider. Okay, and their APR are kind of decent too, because you're looking again, those loans are collateralized, so the risk is kind of minimal. They know if something happens, they can repo the equipment and actually sell it, not a problem. So the APR goes from 10% all the way to 35%. And I want to quickly go through the pros and cons so you have a clear idea of what I'm talking about here. So they actually, and the cool thing is, I needed to say that they actually provide loans to a constellation of industries, not just one or two industries. They actually run the whole gamut. They actually run the whole gamut. Okay. Pros: they can fund within 1 to 2 business days. There is no prepayment penalty, and they have flexible repayment options. You're talking about monthly, quarterly, annually, or semi-annually. Think about that. A lender who allows you to pay once a year. That's just fantastic. You know, you rarely see that. So yeah, Triton Capital does that. What about the cons? They typically require a personal guarantee and UCC lien in some cases, and they require high minimum annual revenue. Okay. To qualify for this loan, you need to have a minimum credit score of 550 to 600 and minimum time in business 2 years. Okay, even though we have seen that startups may be eligible to qualify with higher cost, of course, and minimal annual revenue $250,000. So now you have the 5 players that I really wanted to share with you. But before we actually decide which one is best when it comes to business loan, poor FICO, fair FICO, low doc, fast approval, I just want to have a quick overview with you. And when we talk about bad credit score, especially with loans, you got to understand the lender is looking at 2 things. The lender is looking at your personal FICO score, but also your business score, your PDEX. So if you have let's say bad credit personally, and your business also has bad credit, that could be problematic. But if you have a bad credit personally, but your business has more than stellar credit, let's say 80 or 80 or above for your PDEX score, this is pretty good. It's really important to understand that if you're looking for a bad credit score, Some lenders are more likely to approve you than others. Okay, banks and credit unions can be tough when it comes to approving these types of loans. So you are better off actually trying alternative lenders, what we call alternatives. So everybody else. So you're talking about online lenders. You're speaking about CDFIs. So CDFIs are actually community development financial institutions, right? So those agencies, they're not agencies, they're institutions that typically receive government funding to provide banking access to low income or underserved communities. So this is really what it is. You can also try micro lenders, okay? Micro lenders such as Kiva, for example. And so when we talk about micro lenders, we're speaking about micro loans. And micro loans in general, they actually have a cap on how much you can borrow. So 50,000, that's about the standard amount. So you have to think about that. So long story short, some lenders are more amenable to, they're more welcoming to bad credit borrowers than banks and credit unions. Okay, so you can try online lenders, you can try alternative lenders such as SmartBiz. You can try loan marketplaces such as NBC, National Business Capital. You can try Lendio, for example. Okay, and if you want to get a business loan with bad credit, make sure that you check your credit first. Okay, because who knows, maybe you don't have bad credit. You're probably thinking, well, I have bad credit, but are you sure? When was the last time you checked? Those are really important. Okay, and in the meantime, after you check your credit, and if indeed you have bad credit, start building up your credit. Start building it up, right? Start revamping your credit. Do whatever it takes. We have a gazillions of shows about the topic, how to raise your FICO score. It's also very important to understand that if you are trying to get a business loan, whether you go to Fora or On Deck or Fundbox or Bluevine or Triton Capital, you need to understand your eligibility requirements, because again, every lender has their own requirements. Even though there are standard best practices that all lenders are asking for, you would need to make sure that you are meeting the specific needs of that specific lender. This is very important. Okay, this is why we always tell our viewers and our business clients, for that matter, please shop around. Shop around. You have to shop around. You have to consider your options. Don't settle for the first one. You have to take your time. And because remember, when we talk about eligibility requirements, you're speaking about four main things. Okay, those lenders, they want to see that you have been in business for a specific period of time. They want to have your annual revenue. They want to see how strong your cash flow is, and they want to see, in some cases, what kind of collateral you provide. The thing is that those lenders have different policies. So, for instance, Bluevine can say, well, I want you to be in business for two years. Whereas Triton is like, you know what, I'm cool. If you are in business for 3 months, I'm fine. See, there is the delta. I was just telling you. That's why you need to shop around. You need to shop around, because people think, well, if you're shopping around, you're just trying to shop for the best rate. No, it's not just the best rate, the best interest rate that is. No, you're also shopping around for the best terms and conditions, the lowest fees, if at all. Because remember, some of those loans come with fees, things like administrative fees. You have a prepayment penalties. You also have so they have a lot of fees. Okay, and you need to choose the best loan option for your business, for your specific business. This is where you have to actually know your business very well to know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Because not all business loans for poor or fair credit, low doc, fast approval will fit your specific line of business. This is why you have to take the time and look at, okay, this lender is giving me $250,000. This lender is giving me $500,000, but the conditions are different. Which one works best for me? It's not just about the quantity that's offered, it's also the quality, right? The quality of the loan conditions. Actually, that quality plays an important role in your decision to accept or reject the offer. So, big decision here. We are at the decision phase here, and so we have Bluevine, On Deck, Fundbox, Fora Financial, Triton Capital. Which one should you pick? Well, it really depends. It really depends. So we have analyzed these 5 players in depth. So Fora Financial is our pick for working capital. Okay, if you're looking for working capital loan for bad credit, fast approval, low doc, go for Fora Financial. If you're looking for, let's say, a short-term business loan for bad credit, low doc, go with On Deck. If you're looking for a business line of credit that you can convert into a business loan later on for bad credit, of course, go with Fundbox. If you're looking for a very fast business loan for bad credit, go with Bluevine. And if you're looking for equipment loan, an equipment loan, okay, low doc, fast approval for bad credit, go with Triton Capital. But overall, our winner is Bluevine. We believe Bluevine actually has the best offer. They actually they're just great, and so we have scored Bluevine 9.8 over 10, Fora Financial 9.5 over 10, On Deck 9 over 10, Triton Capital 8.8 over 10, and Fundbox 8.6 over 10. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.